Hello there, James Wise here. Another chilly day out in Cleveland. This is a really unique video, something a little different than what we have done for you in the past. This property, 12911 Shady Oak in Garfield Heights. I had actually sent this property out to you in an email chain. If you're not already on the HoltonWise email list, there's going to be a link on how to get there below. We send out one investment property every single day at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want the opportunity to hop on the hottest investment properties in the nation, you need to be on that email chain. That's where you get the information quickest. This property, I had presented it. What happened was there was a tenant already living in it, but that tenant was not paying. So we offered it at a very discounted price, $39,900 for a Garfield Heights bungalow. You know that is cheap. We are normally selling those for between $60,000 and $75,000. So there's going to be a little bit of extra work here, but the value is there because you're getting it for, $20,000 to $25,000 less than retail. That's how you make money in real estate. Like I said, this is a very unique situation. I had sent that property out. It had a tenant in there who needed to be evicted. I've never seen the inside of this property. My client who's out of state has never seen the inside of this property. It was contingent on inspection. We just knew that there was so much room here with the price point being so low, in my experience with thousands of tenants, that there's always going to be a rehab cost after something like an eviction of $5,000 to $10,000. So it went under contract, it's in escrow, contingent on the inspection. My client hired an inspector by the name of Tom Staab. Tom Staab, in my opinion, is one of the better home inspectors in the Cleveland area. He doesn't hold anything back. He's not afraid to tell you everything that is wrong with your properties. Many of my clients have worked with Tom in the past, and they've loved his work. He's quick, he's diligent. I'm going to go ahead and put Tom's contact information somewhere on the screen or in the link below. If you guys are looking to buy these investment properties, Tom is the guy you want to reach out to. At any rate, Tom is in there inspecting this house. Since I've never been there, it's under escrow. I thought it'd be a good idea for me to pop in and just hear it directly from Tom. Let's see exactly what's going on with this property. Let's take a look. Hey! How's it going, Tom? What's happening?
Not much.
So we just pulled in. As I explained, my client, you know the situation. She purchased this house. We're under escrow, contingent on your inspection, of course. I've never actually seen this house. This is the first time I'm in here. But, the house, $39,900. These bungalows go for anywhere between $60,000 and $75,000. So I didn't have much information. We had an existing tenant that needed to be evicted. I was never able to get in, but the deal was so good, I had many investors who wanted to buy it. So my current client, she put this thing under contract, knowing that there was going to be a lot of unknowns. So that's why you're here, of course. You're here to tell us exactly what's wrong with it and to make sure that this is still going to pan out as a good investment. Just from the kitchen and the outside, I assume it's probably going to still be pretty good, given the fact that she's got about $20,000 to $25,000 to work with for repairs. And I can look at it as an investor, someone with thousands of properties, but truth be told, Tom, I usually look at things kind of from 5 feet away. I rely on my maintenance staff to really get in and look at it.
Sure.
But I don't like to have my maintenance staff come out and look at these properties prior to them closing because, well, let's face it, I'm going to make money when this thing closes, okay? You are not going to make any money when it closes because you're a separate entity. You're paid to be here and give an unbiased opinion. That's what I want to do. You guys need to understand that we are coming at you completely transparent. I know most of you are in California or New York or Texas. You can't see these properties. So if you don't want to, I'm going to make you hire a guy like Tom Staab. I'm going to put Tom's contact info somewhere on the screen. Many of my clients have hired Tom because he's thorough, and most importantly for me and you, he's independent, okay? He's going to give you an unbiased opinion. You're paying Tom no matter what he says. So if he tells you the house is good, he's still getting paid the same amount if he tells you the house is horrible. To be honest with you, he's probably going to go harder on the house because if he tells you it's horrible, I got to sell you a second house, and he knows he's getting 2 inspections. So Tom, don't hold back.
Sure.
What's the deal here, man?
Yeah, I've been here for about a couple hours now. Have had a chance to get my hands on it and go through the property. Currently, we're in the kitchen, as you can see, and a couple things I do want to point out to you as I was going through. Obviously, a big point in the kitchen is the plumbing area, and as you can see, the sink does need a little bit of work.
So, someone was murdered in the sink? Is that
It appears
what's
so.
going on?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is why I don't inspect the properties. Like, I'm 5 feet away from this thing, and I have to shower. I'm going to shower after this. This is disgusting.
It's a dirty job sometimes, but this is what I signed up for. This is what I enjoy doing. There is water gathered on the floor. There is noticeable dripping coming from the water lines as well as the drain piping. So I would recommend replacing the water lines and the drain piping, and it wouldn't be too big of a situation, and you won't have any water damage to the cabinets or any other building materials.
Now, Tom, I'm looking at this and absolutely 100% agree. And, you know, guys, getting my crew out there to go and replace that sink that somebody died in and replace the plumbing, that's a pretty minor thing. When I look at this kitchen, this is what I think, just from a cosmetic standpoint. Because we need to rent this house. We need to get $1,000 in rent. And this kitchen just ain't going to cut it. So my opinion would be to come in here, this floor, we could possibly use this floor, but I'd really like to see a nice vinyl allure. I'd like to paint all these walls agreeable gray. And for the cabinetry, I think, like, for our purposes, to make it look nice, you know, my staff could probably paint over this, but I do see some water damage on the bottom of this casing. So do you think it makes sense to just replace it anyway, since I need to pay my guys, or rather you need to pay my guys to make it look better? Since there is a little water damage, do you think it would just be more cost prohibitive for them to just, and they have to do the sink anyway? I guess, should they just replace it? Is that better?
I would, absolutely. You're going to get, you're basically going to build value in the home while you own it, while you own the property by doing that. Continuing repairs on something like this is not going to get you very far.
Makes sense, guys. So think about this kitchen. We're looking probably in a $5,000–$6,000 rehab budget for the kitchen. But remember, kitchens and baths sell homes. Kitchens and baths, they rent homes. So you want to spend your money in here. You already have a bunch of damage he's identified, so you might as well just knock it out amongst when you're doing the rest of the cosmetic stuff. I think that's pretty much everything in the kitchen. Is there anything else in the kitchen I'm missing, or is that about it?
Actually, there is a couple more things, James, I did want to point out.
Okay.
The gas line that is coming up through the floor, this is meant for a gas stove or oven.
Sure.
It currently does not have a cap on it. Viewed from the...
That's gonna blow! No.
No, I wouldn't say that. The line...
It's all good. Still buy the house.
The valve on the gas piping underneath the floor is shut off.
Okay.
Which is what you want, but you also need a cap on that gas line. In case that valve was bumped and turned on, you will prevent gas leaks in the house. So that's an easy fix for a plumber. You already have a plumber in here doing the sink, so that's an easy fix for him to do.
100% right. If for some reason we had to send a Holton-Wise maintenance guy out to a house just to cap that line, I know it sounds crazy for a couple $1 part, but you know, you're looking at a service call of at least $75. However, when we're already here renovating the entire kitchen, it's as simple as just parts at that point. So nothing to worry about. Great job pointing that out. I, of course, wasn't going to be pointing something like that out. It's not usually things I notice when I'm in these properties. But before we put a tenant in, when my team goes out and gives you the complete renovation bid, they do go through things like that. They're guys similar to Tom. By the way, it's Tom Staab. I called him Stab earlier, and we had to cut the camera.
Everybody does it. Don't worry about it.
He started hitting me, so we had to cut. Tommy had to pull him off, and it was crazy. But that's things my people would look at. But I don't want my people in these houses before you make the buying decision, because they have something to gain. You know, I employ them. I make money when this house sells. That could create a conflict of interest. 100% transparent. That's what we're about. So that's why you bring in a guy like Tom Staab, 100% on his own. He gets paid the same amount whether you buy or you don't.
All right, James, I wanted to point this out to you while we were in the kitchen.
All right.
This electrical receptacle right here.
Okay. Hit me.
So this is a electrical receptacle tester. When I plug it in, we have one orange lit bulb, and this tells me that this outlet is not grounded. This tester will also make sure that this GFCI receptacle will trip, and in this case it does not. So this electrical receptacle is actually not right. It needs an electrician to come in here, make sure it is grounded, and make sure it does trip. Follow me in here, I can show you where these other electrical receptacles throughout the living space are 2-prong outlets and done with 2-phase wiring.
Okay.
So you can see right there.
And Tom, you know, we see a lot of this stuff in these houses. A lot of these houses are older, and they were not, you know, they're not built the same that they're built today. So you're right, you have to ground things that are ungrounded. If you have a 3-prong outlet, it has to be grounded. We cannot have an outlet with a ground and have it actually not be grounded. But I know with all the cities, my entire portfolio, these 2-prong outlets, it's okay that they're not grounded because that's the proper device for that electrical system. So that's okay because we're not giving anyone the impression that this is a grounded outlet. It's clear, it's allowable. Would you, building a new house, do a 2-wire system on one of these outlets? No, that's totally allowable. It's totally safe. For that one in the kitchen, I don't think we can do a 2-prong. Is that correct? Because...
Correct, James. You can actually, you need a 3-prong grounded receptacle that is GFCI protected in the kitchen for safety. So you would not be able to do a 2-prong outlet and replace a 2-prong with those receptacles in the kitchen.
Makes sense, because what is it? It's like 5 feet from a water source, right? Something like that?
It's actually now 3 feet from a water source. They currently changed that code down to 3 feet. Yes. Okay.
So don't worry. You do not have to replace the entire electrical in the house. If that was the case, I have about 1,000 houses I'd have to replace the electrical. Bing, 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 bing. But obviously it looks like my team is going to need to do some electrical work in that kitchen. And that's why you get guys out here like Tom. Because if I came to this property without Tom and I made the video like I make most videos, very, very rare, this is probably the only time where we're actually doing a video tour of me at this stage of the sales process. You know, because I sell you the property, I go to the property, I show you the property, then you decide to buy it, contingent on a guy like Tom coming out. This one, totally unique situation. I wasn't able to get inside of it, so my client didn't really know what they were getting. I didn't know what my client was getting. And my seller, she didn't really know either because she kind of checked out. So that's why I wanted to pop in and see exactly what was going on. A lot of these deals, some of these deals, at this stage of the game, you know, things change. Sometimes when a guy like Tom comes into the property, maybe we learn some new things we didn't know, and we have to change price or ask seller to do repairs. In this situation, if there's things we didn't anticipate, my seller, she's really not capable of expediting repairs, so it could possibly be some type of a price renegotiation. I'm not really sure, but I guess the point of what I'm saying is when I walk in a property, I don't notice things exactly like that. Like I told you, I'm not crawling in an attic. You know, please leave me the comments. I love when you guys leave me comments telling me, you know, what you like, what you don't like. But no matter how many times you leave comments down there saying, James, crawl on the roof, James, go in the attic, it's not going to happen. So you can leave those comments at home. But, you know, that's why you hire guys like Tom. And, you know, if I came into this property, I'd tell you guys, look, guys, $5-6 grand kitchen, $2-3 grand bathroom, refinishing these floors, painting everything. I want it to be modern. I want my tenants to, you know, feel happy, good, modern looking house they want to stay in. But, you know, now we know there's other stuff like, you know, the electrical situation. I look at here, I'm like, oh, 2-prong outlets, we're good. But oh, we have an issue with those GFCIs. I wasn't going to test a GFCI. That's why you pay a guy like Tom. He's letting you know that kind of stuff ahead of time.
One of the first things I noticed was the toilet. Making sure the toilet is secure is very important to protect the building materials underneath. So when I come in, I give it a little nudge, and you can tell it is not secured to the floor. This can cause leaking around the subflooring It can damage the wood materials and cause a whole ton of issues that can be avoided by simply fixing the toilet and the floor connection.
Just from a cosmetic standpoint, you know, this is a very dated bathroom, and we're trying to reduce turnover. Kitchens and bath cell homes, I already got you spending $5 or $6 in the kitchen over there. I'd like you to drop a couple thousand over here in the bathroom. You know, this vanity, you know, outside of you know, the fact that it's older, and if it's not leaking yet, it will be leaking. That toilet, outside of the fact that it already needs to be replaced because of that loose wax ring and it could be doing damage, we can get a nice low flow toilet in there that's going to lower the water bill, and it's just going to look much better if we update all this. So let's clear all this out. We'll take the same vinyl flooring we put in the kitchen, we'll put it in here, nice new vanity. What I'd like my people to do is, these hardwoods, they're pretty nice. You know, we just want to go ahead and sand them, you know, stain them. We could go with a darker color, we could leave this color. There is a little bit of staining, so it might not be a bad idea to go darker. And then we want to put a nice thick poly in case tenants have pets and they're peeing, that'll bead up. And then of course we're going to paint all these walls agreeable gray. We're going to go with some white trim. Right here, the current landlord, she did the same color wall as the trim. You know, it's going to look so much nicer, so much more professional, it's going to feel so much more like home and less like a beat rental property if we do two colors. So we'll absolutely do that. One thing I'm looking at, Tom, we got a wood window here, and then over here we got the nice double hung vinyl window.
So this wood window here actually is painted shut, won't open. For the most part, the glass is in good shape.
Okay, so only a few of the newer windows. I always advise you guys, the vinyl windows are great because when we run into potential lead-based paint issues, the windows are oftentimes the biggest culprit, because when these homes were built, if they were built before 1978, they could have been painted with lead-based paint, and this wood is always rubbing, and that's where you're getting some paint flakes. So can we rent the house without all brand new windows? Absolutely, but obviously this window not opening, that's not ideal. That is something we'll have to fix. All windows must open and close on their own before we can place a tenant in here, but we don't automatically have to replace all these windows, but it would be a good idea to factor that into your capital expenditure budget over the next few years. How many windows in the house that are the older ones are not actually operable versus how many are operable?
It's about half and half.
Okay.
Some of them are painted shut, others are open.
Okay, beautiful, perfect. And I think that's pretty much the main floor. So what we're looking at, a kitchen renovation, a bathroom renovation, just refinishing the floors, repainting it. We know we have a couple new windows, bonus, but the majority are older, and like this one, we can't get them open. So, you know, my staff, you could decide if you want my staff to fix these windows, or, you know, roughly about $300. If they're already broken, Tom said about half of them are not operable. That's a good idea to go ahead and replace those half. So that should take us to like 70 or 80% new windows. And then, you know, factor in replacing the rest of them that still work right now, maybe at the next turnover or the turnover after that. Well, outside of the fact that it's dated, ugly, and it smells a little funky, I would imagine the investor that paid you money to inspect this house, you know, I'm sure she paid you to do a little bit more than tell her it looks ugly. So why don't you tell me what's up?
You can see some moisture stains on the ceiling here. They actually don't appear to be active.
And you don't think they're active, why?
Well, I don't think they're active because I tested it with a moisture meter.
Okay, for those watching, of course I know what a moisture meter is. But for those of you who don't, what's a moisture meter?
So here's my moisture meter. Turn it on, and you can test that it's working by putting it up against your skin. And being that our skin is about 100% or 90% of water, it's going to give you a high reading.
Okay.
Now what I do to test the wall here is get a benchmark reading on a section of the ceiling that doesn't appear to be affected. So right here, for instance, and you can tell right there, there's 0% moisture. So the moisture meter is going to detect the level of moisture on the surface. So you got 0.
So then this, which appears to be where there was leaking, so if this is still an active leak, that is going to be, you know, a totally different reading, correct?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. So when we test this stain, it also gets a 0 reading. So that's a great sign. That lets me know that, of course, there was some moisture damage previously, possibly from an older roof, but it also tells me that the repairs have been made and they're working as intended. Try to get in the attic when I'm on the upper floor to try to see what I can see from underneath the roof deck. So why don't we follow me this way? So I'll take a closer look in here so you can see the insulation.
Just so you guys know, there is never a scenario where I would ever crawl in your attic for you, so don't ask. That's what guys like Tom are for.
Yeah, I'm fairly nimble actually. I can crawl around in some of the smallest attics you can find. So here's a good example of things I try to look for. Obviously, with the insulation pulled back, there's a good visual of the roof sheathing in the form of wood planks. There has been some tar repairs up here. I would notate that to monitor, but as I said before, there was no signs of leaking or condensation. So at this point, I'm going to give the attic a good grade and suggest that you simply monitor moving forward.
So you don't anticipate a roof replacement in the next, let's say, 1 to 2 years? It's not
Absolutely
inevitable.
not. Right.
But I know I can't 100% really hold you to that because, you know, it's the nature of the business, guys. It's Cleveland. It's cold. It's January. There's like 6 inches of snow on that roof. We can't get Tom up there with a broom to push all the snow off. So there are going to be a little bit of slight unknowns when you're investing. But you know what we could do is we can't eliminate all risks. All we can do is mitigate them as much as possible. And again, I can't stress it enough. That's why when you are buying these properties sight unseen, we come out here. We want to be transparent. We want to do a full video tour. We want to make you hire guys like Tom. And just so you know, you can hire Tom. We're going to put his contact info somewhere on the screen. Tom Staab. He's a home inspector. Many of my clients have worked with him. But you do not have to work with him, okay? I like working with him. I think he's good. He gets in the houses quickly. He makes my job easy because he goes through my staff. And, you know, he just gets in, gets out. Sometimes he'll even contact the tenants for us. That kind of stuff helps my staff. It reduces our burden. But he's a complete independent business owner. If for whatever reason you wanted to hire your own inspector, hey, that's totally fine. You could Google inspectors for all I care. You are not held to this guy. He's a competent individual, so he's here for you if you need him. But everybody else is there too, so whatever makes you most comfortable. The only thing I don't want you to do is try to buy a house without an inspector. Don't do that. You're probably watching this from California, maybe Seattle. You're not in here. You could ask me questions like, James, what do you think of the roof? And I'm like, well, it ain't wet, so it's probably good, but I'm not crawling in the attic, and I don't want you coming back at me 2 years later like, you told me this roof was good. Well, it wasn't wet. Define good. How wet is water? How long is string? So you have to hire a guy. Whether it's Tom or somebody else, I don't care, but it needs to be done. Let's mitigate those risks. Even after hiring a professional, the elements have let us know that we can't 100% tell you how good the roof is, but at least we're doing our best. We're making every single effort to give you the complete picture so you can make an educated buying decision.
As I took a closer look back here, there is some visible foundation space. For the most part, in good condition. There is a slight crack, a vertical crack in the foundation wall back here that has been repaired.
What am I looking at? Which one?
So way back there you can see.
Okay. Now, vertical cracks, horizontal cracks, vertical cracks. Difference between the two.
Yes.
Which one do we worry about? Give me the 4-on-1.
So vertical cracks are normally the cause of settling. You're building homes with concrete on soil, so you're just going to have, by nature, some vertical cracking depending on the amount of settlement that does take place. Horizontal cracks are more of pressure coming from the exterior, forcing pressure in on the foundation wall. Several causes, there are several things that could cause that, but the horizontal crack definitely is the one you'd want to worry about the most.
All right, so horizontal cracks, no good. Vertical cracks, not that big a deal.
They can be repaired,
Okay.
Much easier than horizontal cracks.
Now,
So-
horizontal crack, we would then have to get the team out and we would literally have to rebuild the foundation. The cost to rebuild a foundation is roughly $100 a foot. So that's an expensive job. We buy a property like this, sight unseen, we know a tenant was in here, we know we're gonna do some renovations. We're gonna run into the kitchen's messed up, the bathroom's messed up. But things like horizontal cracking, if he would have found some horizontal cracking, that's a deal changer. That's something we go, whoa, we need to renegotiate price, possibly back out, retain our earnest money, or ask the seller to repair it, because that's $100 a foot. Luckily for you, for me, for everybody here, Tom just found some vertical cracking. Woo! Anything else in the basement that me and my clients we should be concerned about?
Absolutely. Let's continue to take a walk here.
He says it all happy. Absolutely. Come on, Tom, you're killing me.
Hey, sorry, it's just what I see. It's gonna have your drain plumbing. It's gonna have your main electrical panel, your furnace, and your hot water heater.
We talk about this all the time in all the videos, guys. The bones of the property, the mechanicals. Cosmetically, I can tell you what's going on, and hey, tenants come, they go. Cosmetically, we're always gonna be doing stuff. This right here, this is where the money's made, the money's lost. These are your big ticket items. Furnace, $3,500. Hot water tank, $1,000. General electrical repairs, 1, 2, $2,500, depending on what's going on. Tom, I'm looking at a furnace, looks to be probably 20, 25 years old. It's not that cold. I took my gloves off earlier. So my opinion is probably good, but hey man, again, that's why we bring guys like you in, because I say hey, my gloves are off so we're cool, but that might not be the case. What's up?
So James, when I first got here, the temp was about 31 degrees in here. I had to play with the thermostat quite a bit. It is operating in good condition, but like you said, it's about 20, 25 years old. After I take a closer look at the serial numbers and my reference guide, I'll be able to tell you exactly. But at first glance, it's something that you do want to plan and budget for replacement within the next 5 years.
Okay, so you got it to work, but it's not a good sign when you show up and it's kind of funky and then you got to jiggle it. That's not a good sign. So it's already pretty old. You got your serial numbers to tell us exactly, but we know it's at least 25, 30 years old. So what that means, folks, we're going to ride this thing out until it dies. When it dies, I don't think it makes any sense for you to spend any money repairing this. Go ahead and just replace it. You're looking at a cost of about $3,500.
If you want to take a look around the corner, I can show you the hot water tank while we're at it. This unit is in good condition and actually replaced fairly recently. A couple of things I look for on the hot water tank is the gas piping, which is in good shape. Currently shut off, so this valve here is showing you that the gas is turned off and the house is not currently getting hot water. But overall, the unit itself is in good condition. Okay, James, I did want to point one more thing out to you here, and this is very typical, not just in basements, but in several areas of the home. A lot of sellers will try to hide defects by doing things such as this, having a board covering a main section of foundation wall. It always alerts me to take a closer look and pull some storage material back if needed be. But I want to make sure I know everything that's going on with this property, especially because something as big as the foundation. After I had moved a couple things, moved this piece of drywall back and took a closer look behind, you can see that there is noticeable mold on the wall. This is a situation where you need to get remediated and fixed.
Tom, that's an awesome tip. A lot of times, investors, we're very, very busy people. We're in and out of houses, and we're trying to see 10, 20, 30, 40 houses every single day, trying to make sure we get the right deal. And sometimes you slip up and you don't think to look behind stuff like that, or it slips your mind. So that's awesome that you did that. Absolutely, that mold that's something that we're gonna need to address. It's very important with these older homes like this. you want to take a dehumidifier. It's always good to keep a dehumidifier down here. And if the moisture is too high, the moisture level is too high, it's a good idea to keep them unfinished. If we had some serious water issues, you could even dry lock the basement. So all great tips.
There's a checklist of items that I go through. Lower my flashlight here. And the first thing that is a red flag to me is these abandoned wires. It actually looks like as if it was the main wires previously used. Since they have had the main wires replaced with aluminum going into the 100 amp breaker, but this is not allowable. This is a safety hazard, and an electrician needs to come out here and repair that immediately. Taking a closer look at the box, what I really need to do in here is to make sure that the breaker size is compatible with the wires, which it does appear to be so.
So we don't have any double tapping or anything like that in there?
Correct, yes. No double tapping. All the branch wires are copper, and they are all the correct size breakers so that there won't be any wires overheating or causing damage or a fire. I do see some rust built up and some corrosion on some of these breakers and along the neutral bus bar. This is
for those at home, can you go over what a neutral bus bar is?
Sure. So in each electrical panel there is a neutral bus bar and a ground bus bar. In a main panel, they can be used interchangeably, but you can see that those bars on either side of the breakers. One thing that's really noticeable about these is that there is some rust built up on there. An electrician can come in here and tell you exactly what this is from. I suspect it's from a little bit of condensation, being how cold the house was, and then some warmth within the box.
Well, that's another issue that's on there that wouldn't be readily apparent to somebody like me or a buyer. So we have all our cosmetic stuff, but again, we have a couple issues with the loose toilet. We have the grounding of the kitchen outlets, and now we find out some other electric. So now we know, hey, let's go ahead and add another $1,000 to $2,000 into the budget for electrical repairs. The price point to get a guy like Tom out here, it's about $350 for a house like this, and that's well done. You spend $350, but now you found out about $2,000, let's call it, worth of electrical issues you wouldn't have otherwise known. You found out that about half of your windows are not properly working. That's something that's not totally apparent. We found out that water that we saw upstairs is not actually something we need to be too worried about right now. But we also know that our furnace is on its last leg, so we know we're going to have a $3,500 bill coming up pretty soon. Like I said, guys, that's what we're about, complete transparency. Whether it's Tom Staab, pop his info somewhere on the screen. You reach out to a guy like him, doesn't have to be him, whoever you want, whoever you feel comfortable with. Get them into these properties so we know exactly what we're getting. Just because he identifies certain issues doesn't always mean the seller is going to correct every issue. It's a lot of that's built into the price points, but then there's certain things that could be huge game changers. For instance, cracking. Luckily, it wasn't the case in this house. We found out our vertical cracking, not that big of a deal, but if we had huge horizontal cracking, that would be $100 a foot. That's something that's a game changer. So a tiny investment in a guy like him, $350 to potentially avoid a $10, $11, $12, $13, $14, $15,000 foundation job you wouldn't have otherwise known. That's an awesome investment. Can we eliminate all risk? Absolutely not. But what we can do is mitigate it as best we can. We do that by hiring guys like him, the pros, hiring guys like me, aces in their places. I do a lot of stuff really, really well. One of them is not grabbing moisture meters and sticking stuff in outlets and figuring that out. That's not what I do. Guys like him do that. What I do, I sell real estate. I help you build your net worth through real estate. As you know, HoltonWise is the #1 seller of investment property in the entire Cleveland market. So if you're a buyer, I don't care if you're in Ohio, California, Texas, New York, I have clients as far as Singapore, and you want to make money investing in real estate, but you don't want to deal with the hassle or the problems or find guys like Tom, I can handle all of that. We have the infrastructure in place to take care of that for you. Reach out to HoltonWise. I'll put our contact info below above me somewhere. If you're a seller, like my current seller, an accidental landlord, she doesn't want anything to do with the property management business. I personally love this business. This is how I've made my money, but a lot of people don't like this business. It's a tough business. If you own a property like that, but you don't want to own a property like that, reach out. We will take care of you. We can sell anything. We can take houses that a traditional realtor might shy away from, because this wasn't the prettiest house. I think we could all agree. This house has got some issues, okay? It wasn't pretty, but guys like us, we can take care of these. There is a market for these properties, because for every ugly house like this, there's hundreds and hundreds of investors out there worldwide that know they can build their net worth. They can put in the time and the effort and make money for themselves and their families for years to come with these type of properties. So in summary, if you want to buy properties, invest in real estate, grow your net worth, whether you're local or far away, we can take care of you. If you need to sell properties, big, small, in between, ugly, beautiful, turnkey, complete rehabs, we have the infrastructure, network, reach, marketing tools to make that happen. I don't know any other real estate company that's out here filming full, completely professionally produced videos for $39,000 houses. That's just not something you don't see. That's why we're number one. We put the effort in where other people won't. As always, I'm James Wise. If you want to follow more of me, my personal story as an investor, broker, entrepreneur, I'm going to put my Instagram handle somewhere on the screen. This is Tom Staab. Again, Staab. Don't want to say Stab again. You guys should have seen what was happening when the camera wasn't rolling. You want to hire him, and again, I think you need, if it's not him, it needs to be somebody just like him, but if you want to make it him, his information is going to be in the link below, probably on the screen. You're looking at it somewhere, I would imagine. He's going to be able to go in and tell you exactly what's wrong with these properties. I'm James Wise. As always, HoltonWise, real estate investing made easy. That was good. Steve?
Stop.
I don't even know where we are. Hold on. Well, the home inspector, Tom Staab. Shit. Staab?
Stop.
How the fuck do you two have the same name?
You can't see any, so that's great. You're really just talking painting and priming to maintain the walls.
Painted this fucker shut.
Yeah, some of them are open.
Dad.
Stop.
You got too many A's in there, dude. Stop!
All right.
Enter. Inspector.
Come on, man.
Stove.
Really? Yours is nice and tight.
Try that. I'm trying to get.
Yeah, yeah.
You kept the chin longer. It's called a ducktail beard, guys.
Yeah.
Ducktail beard.
It's for short guys to make us look a little tough.
More masculine, you know, tougher. Yeah.
Exactly.
So this guy, he shaves his face because he can't grow facial hair, and because he can dunk a basketball.
Point this out to you all over the kitchen.
Oh, let me get that. Start again. Go.
Kitchen. The electrical receptacle.
Sorry. Why was it moving already? That's what they're gonna want to know. All right, you'll point it out. I'll move this in a less aggressive manner. We'll just like stop it before I started pointing like a fucking idiot. This is Tom Staab. Everybody ready? Stabby.
Stop.
Stop.
There you go.
Stab.